Listen, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
This moment in human history seems as though it will be remembered forever, and rightfully so. We as a species did land on the moon that one day after all.
Though the Apollo 11 moon landing seems impressive enough on its own, we must also appreciate the years and years of human dedication towards innovation that led up to the first human footprints on the moon.
In 1883, Konstantin Tsiolkovsky, 26, a Russian scientist, determined how rockets can potentially be used to uplift humans into space. In 1926, Robert Goddard, 44, an American engineer/inventor, made a liquid fuel rocket which successfully lifted off from the ground and flew 2.6 kilometers high with a speed of 885 kilometers an hour into the sky. In 1957, the Soviet Union had launched the first satellite in space called Sputnik. On July 29, 1958, a government agency by the name of NASA was founded by Dwight D. Eisenhower. In 1958, the first American satellite was launched into space by America, which was set to orbit Earth. It was called the Explorer 1. In 1961, Yuri Gagarin, 27, was a Russian astronaut who was the first man to go to space and orbit the Earth. In 1963, Valentina Tereshkova, 29, was a female Russian who had orbited the Earth 48 times in 70.8 hours using her spaceship, the Vostok 6. In 1964, the first close photos of the moon were captured by an American aircraft called the Ranger 7. In 1965, Edward White II, 35, had made the first spacewalk in a pressurized astronaut suit. Finally, in 1969, after all the lead-up, Buzz Aldrin, Michael Collins, and Neil Armstrong finally became the first people to land on the moon and walk on it too.
This timeline may seem very extensive, but keep in mind that all these particular events were just a part of the space race between the Soviet Union and America. These events were just a lead up to the Apollo 11 missions.
Landing on the moon isn't the sole purpose of space exploration. A lot had happened in the 20th century that didn't even involve the moon.
In 1962, the first successful planetary probe flies by Venus. This probe was called the Mariner 2. In July 1965, the Mariner 4 takes the first close-range photos of Mars after 7.5 months of travel. In 1971, Mariner 9 takes the first surface images of Mars, gathering evidence of volcanoes, earthquakes, and a Grand Canyon 3,000 miles wide. In 1974, Mariner 10 makes the first flyby on Mercury. In 1976, the Viking probe lands on Mars. In 1977, Voyager 1 and 2 are launched from Cape Canaveral and years later become the first probes to fly by Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and their moons. Due to the fact that there is no opposing forces in space, they are still traveling at over 15 kilometers per second. In 1978, Arno Panzias and Robert Wilson observed background radiation which led to the Big Bang Theory. Also in 1978, the Pioneer Venus orbiter started to orbit around Venus. On February 17, 1998, Voyager 1 reached a distance of 69 astronomical units from the Sun and overtook Pioneer 10 as the most distant spacecraft from Earth. Recently, in 2006, Pluto was declared a dwarf planet, and just last year we discovered that there was water on Mars.
Though it may seem that we have accomplished everything humanly possible when it comes to space exploration, innovation always manages to find a way.
There are many events you can look forward to over the next few years, and maybe afterwards look back at.
In January 2017, the ESA's new solar orbiter, SOLO, will launch to the Sun. In December 2017, first flight of NASA's Space Launch System rocket, taking the Orion spacecraft on an unmanned flight around the moon. In January 2018, Inspiration Mars will launch 2 people to Mars on a 501-day mission to fly by the Red Planet and return to Earth. Also in 2018, NASA's Solar Probe Plus will approach the Sun to within 0.034 astronomical units, the closest any spacecraft has ever been to the Sun. In 2019, a proposed NASA telescope called EXCEED will launch to observe planet formations around nearby stars. In 2020, the ISS will be decommissioned and deorbited at some point after 2020. Also in 2020, ESA and NASA may attempt a Mars sample return mission. In 2021, NASA's Orion spacecraft will fly with the crew for the first time, possibly taking astronauts to visit an asteroid. In 2022, ESA will launch its new deep space probe called Jupiter Icy Moon Explorer to study the Jovian system, specifically Ganymede, Callistio, and Europa. And finally, in 2023, Mars 1 expects to land the first human settlers on the red planet.
Being excited for the future is great and all, but it's important to acknowledge the foundation on which these accomplishments will be built on.
Now let's look back at the great minds that built the stool we stand on.
It's safe to assume that humans have been looking up at the cosmos in astonishment from the dawn of curiosity, and because we cannot give this a specific date, we won't. In 1514, the heliocentric model of the solar system was developed by Nicholas Copernicus along with these axioms. 1. There is no center in the universe. 2. The Earth's center is not the center of the universe. 3. The center of the universe is near the Sun. 4. The distance from the Earth to the Sun is imperceptible compared with the distances to the stars. 5. The rotation of the Earth accounts for the apparent daily rotation of the stars. 6. The apparent annual cycle of movements of the Sun is caused by the Earth revolving around it. And 7. The apparent retrograde motion of the planets is caused by the motion of the Earth from which one observes. Due to the fact that the other 5 planets excluding Earth were visible to the unaided human eye, only 3 planets were actually discovered. Uranus was discovered by Sir William Herschel in 1781, Neptune was discovered by John Couch Adams in 1846, Pluto was discovered by an astronomer named Clyde Tombaugh in 1930.
The perseverance and everlasting curiosity of the human race has led up to what we know about the universe we reside in. Although humans came into being thousands of years ago, we landed on the moon for the first time just a mere 47 years ago.
When we take a look back into the past and prepare for the future, we develop the understanding that we shouldn't expect immediate results from space exploration and that all we are doing is building a stable foundation for future accomplishments.
This nation should commit itself to achieving the goal before this decade is out of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the Earth. No single space project in this period will be more impressive to mankind or more important for the long-range exploration of space, and none will be so difficult or expensive to accomplish.